MLB.com, with the help of multiple beat writers, has revealed multiple Juan Soto free agency updates that have big implications on what's going to happen next week when Juan Soto most likely makes a decision involving the Toronto Blue Jays being willing to try to outbid everyone, including the Mets, and the New York Yankees still holding a firm place as the most likely destination for Juan Soto. And we're going to break this all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Yankees Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video as we always do. And guys, also make sure to subscribe to the channel. I know I'm throwing a lot of Juan Soto content at you guys right now, but he dictates the entire free agency market at the end of the day, and not much is going to happen in free agency until Juan Soto makes his move. Now, we know this. We know that Juan Soto's kind of the guy here. He dictates the entirety of MLB free agency this year. No one's really making a move until they see what Juan Soto does, because it's going to have a ripple effect. When you have one of the biggest free agents of all time in MLB history as a free agent, everything, the MLB world is revolving around Juan Soto right now. And one of the reasons why Soto's taking his time is because he knows this is the biggest decision of his career that he'll ever make. And on top of that, it probably also is pretty nice to know the entire sport revolves around you right now. And he's trying to use that leverage to get as big of a contract as possible from whatever team wants to give him that massive contract. Now, there's initial things we know. We know that it's between the Yankees, the Mets, and lesser the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and the Dodgers. It's those five teams. No other team is landing Juan Soto. That just is what it is, and that's fine. But look, the New York Yankees certainly seem like the favorite. Juan Soto liked his time in New York, and covering all of that, it makes it feel like Soto's probably going to want to resign, but he might not, as there have been a lot of reports, including the fact that the Toronto Blue Jays could be offering the most money. As Allison Footer of MLB.com said, a new report tells us that there is widespread belief that the Toronto Blue Jays will be the highest bidder for Juan Soto, which doesn't mean that Soto will end up signing there, but if he's focused solely on taking the highest bid no matter what, then is it a done deal? There's no reason to believe the Jays aren't preparing to top any offer. They were super aggressive with Shohei Ohtani last year, but still came up short. To get a player to move to another country, they almost have to be the highest bidder. But Footer spoke with 4 people around the league today, and none of them believe Soto will end up in Toronto, even if the Blue Jays are the highest bidder. Now, I will say, from my perspective, I would be pretty surprised if Juan Soto goes to the Blue Jays. I've been on this, though. I've been on the Toronto Blue Jays are probably not going to get Juan Soto. It's a hard mountain to climb. I mean, there's a lot going on with the Blue Jays right now, and not all of it is good. I mean, the team missed the playoffs last year after being widely expected to be way better than they were. They ended up having a lot of questions, specifically regarding what is going to happen with Vladimir Guerrero's future with the team. Is he going to be a Blue Jay for much longer? That is going to have an impact on Juan Soto. Are they willing to pay Soto, Bichette, Vladdy? They're going to have to add more pitching if they want to be good, or if they want to be a World Series contender, I should say. Not good. Getting Juan Soto will make them a much better team, but it will not solve all the Blue Jays' problems. It's the same thing as basically any other team that gets Juan Soto. There's not one team that has a Juan Soto hole in their wall outside of the New York Yankees, who made the World Series with Soto. And even so, if you re-sign him, the Yankees, as we know, they still have their other issues, like getting another middle infielder and a new first baseman. So it feels like Soto fills in the best with the Yankees because he was there last season, and the Yankees are obviously then going to have to replace him if he leaves. But the Blue Jays, you're making a guy move to a smaller market in Toronto for a team that's worse than the 2 New York teams that are going for him. The team that's farthest geographically away from the Dominican Republic outside of LA, and it does not seem like the Dodgers are going to sign him. It's just they're obviously a threat to. Now, all that being said, if the Blue Jays just give him some mega offer, yeah, sure, Soto will probably go there. But it's hard to imagine that the Mets won't just match, and this was mentioned by Anthony DiComo, the Mets beat writer, who said he finds it hard to believe that Steve Cohen is going to allow himself to get outbid by the Blue Jays or by anyone. Really, if the Blue Jays were truly planning to blow everyone out of the water, why would they advertise that in advance? It reeks of misdirection, and it's kind of hard to disagree with that statement. I mean, Steve Cohen has more money than the Rogers Corporation that owns the Blue Jays. You're not going to beat Steve Cohen in a pure financial bidding war. The problem is he owns the New York Mets, and the Mets, despite the fact that they made the NLCS, that was very much an overperformance by them. And yes, they have a bunch of exciting young players, and Francisco Lindor is great and is doing a great job trying to recruit Juan Soto to the team. They're pitching solid. It can get better. I mean, signing Frankie Montas does absolutely nothing for them, but whatever, do you. It becomes this situation where the Mets, like the Red Sox, have to sign multiple other players to make it a winning team. I know they just made the NLCS, but if you ask anyone, do you really expect the Mets to go back to the NLCS this year? I'm not saying they're a bad team. They're actively a good team. I think they're the second best team, not counting the Blue Jays. Out of the main four in the East, the Mets are certainly the second best team. They just made the NLCS. There's no way to argue that they're not. But you can even argue they're the best because they beat the Dodgers twice and the Yankees beat them once. But that's beside the point. Look, the Yankees are better. But here's the deal. The Mets obviously can, and maybe they will sign Juan Soto. They're probably the team with the second highest chance outside of the Yankees. And the Yankees being the incumbent has a huge help. But there's just so much to this that doesn't add up. But it makes this such a weird time with this free agency. As Mark Feinsand said, who's just an MLB insider in general, said that he thinks that Soto just going to the highest bidder is silly. What if that bid is $1 million per year higher than the Yankees or the Mets? And it feels like a smokescreen with the Blue Jays. Getting the Blue Jays and the Red Sox involved to scare the Yankees about having to face them in the AL East for the next decade plus makes sense. And getting the Mets involved because they have the most money, and because if they lose him, they won't want to see him on the back pages for the next decade plus, is pretty good incentive for the New York Yankees to go out there and pay whatever it takes. And as Brian Hodge, Yankees beat writer, mentioned, he doesn't expect the Yankees will have the highest bid, but he does think they'll be competitive. And if Soto wants to set a record and grab every dollar on the table, and that's all it's about, then he's probably not in pinstripes next year. But he suspects the equation to be way more complicated than that. He just went to the World Series with the Yankees, and it never seemed like he was struggling in Aaron Judge's shadow. Soto wants to be the man here in New York, and it's a terrific fit for him. Now, we saw this sort of already happen to a degree. I did a video around a week ago now talking about how Juan Soto and Hal Steinbrenner had a great meeting where Soto wanted to be Steinbrenner's guy. Like, he wanted to be the guy who Steinbrenner calls, who is his direct contact to the clubhouse. Right now, it's Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. Aaron Judge is known to not be the most social butterfly out there, and by no means is that his job to be that. He does not have to do that. He is the captain of the Yankees, though, meaning he will have to take on that responsibility a lot. And Garrett Cole is the other guy because they're the two superstars on the team prior to Juan Soto. Now Soto's here. Hal Steinbrenner has not backed down when it came to paying Garrett Cole or Aaron Judge, and it makes it feel like he's not going to back down to paying Soto, especially in what we've seen recently. So as long as he gives Soto a ballpark amount of whatever the highest bid is, it's really hard to imagine at this point that Soto leaves. Soto and Steinbrenner have become tight through their meetings, and Steinbrenner is happy to have Soto be his clubhouse guy, especially because Soto will be the longest standing player. If Soto signs with the New York Yankees, as Jack Curry mentioned, it's going to be somewhere between 12 and 14 years, probably around $46 million. And Curry thinks it's close to being a done deal. And Jack Curry has his ear in the Yankees front office more than anyone else because the Yankees front office knows Jack Curry well. He's been here for 24 something years. And so is Brian Cashman. So it all adds up. Now, if this happens, Judge is going to retire in the next, 7-8 years. I imagine Judge has 8 years left. Probably retire at 41 after he's DH'd for 2 or 3 years. He might want to hit some sort of benchmark or just wait it out if the Yankees can't win a World Series by then. But he's probably got around 7 to 8 years left in his MLB career at the very most, or he'll just play out his contract and go. It depends on if he wants to keep getting money, and teams will probably keep giving Aaron Judge money. Maybe not the Yankees, though. They kick guys right at the door. Which, maybe isn't the worst idea all the time when it comes to financial situations. But with all this being said, it makes it feel like if Soto re-signs with the Yankees, he'll get everything he wants from them. Maybe he won't get the biggest contract. Maybe the Blue Jays will offer more money, and Soto will decide not to go there because the taxes from Canada, and he has to move countries, and he has to go farther away from the DR, where there's a massive part of New York City that has a major Dominican culture. Like, there's a lot of New York is a massive Spanish-speaking city. Like, I live in New York. A lot of you watching this live in New York. This isn't some hot take. This is a fact. It's what makes the Yankees and the Mets. It's one of the things that makes the Yankees and the Mets one of the most intriguing options. Is New York City is a very popular area for people to move from the DR. So, also, it's closer to the DR than Toronto. And Soto's family lives in the DR still. So all of this leads to it feeling like he's going to stay in New York. As it's been known, it's probably between the Yankees and the Mets. And as long as Hal Steinbrenner can ballpark the money that Steve Cohen does, it's hard to imagine Juan Soto walking where he gets to be Steinbrenner's guy for the next 15 years or around the next 15 years of his MLB career. So the rest of his MLB career. And he gets to be the face of the New York Yankees in a few years once Aaron Judge starts aging out. And I mean, look, it makes perfect sense to me, but we're going to see what happens. And I do want to hear from you guys down below. So comment down below your thoughts on this. Do the Blue Jays have any shot? Do the Red Sox have any shot? I don't think so. I've been adamant about this. He's not going to either one of those teams. He's either going to the Yankees or the Mets. And honestly, I think the Dodgers might have the third best chance just because you can never count the Dodgers out. But guys, let me know what you think down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Yankees.